Sarah had always been full of life. Her laughter was infectious, her energy unstoppable, and her faith in God unwavering. But everything changed when she fell ill. What began as a mild discomfort quickly escalated into something much more serious. Doctors were puzzled. Symptoms came and went, mysterious and relentless. Fatigue settled deep into her bones, leaving her exhausted and fearful. Friends suggested she take time off, but even rest brought no relief. For the first time in her life, Sarah felt powerless. Her prayers had always been answered in ways that felt gentle and timely, but now she felt abandoned, as though God's hand was hidden behind an impenetrable veil. Nights became long and lonely, filled with worry and questions that she had no answers for. Why me, God? Why now? Despite the fear gnawing at her heart, Sarah refused to give up. She turned to the one thing that had never failed her: prayer. Early in the mornings, she knelt by her bed, whispering words of faith, even when her voice trembled. "Lord," she said one day, voice cracking, "I don't understand why this is happening. Please, heal me. Show me that you are still with me." Her prayers were consistent, desperate, and filled with faith. Friends and family encouraged her, reminding her that God's timing is perfect. But Sarah struggled. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. And yet, each morning, she returned to her knees, determined to trust, even when the evidence suggested despair. Then came the night that changed everything. It started like any other evening. Sarah had been feeling particularly weak that day, unable to complete even the simplest tasks without collapsing onto the couch. She prayed as usual, tears running down her cheeks, and then she fell asleep exhausted. In her sleep, she had a dream, not a vague, forgettable one, but a vision so vivid she would remember every detail for the rest of her life. In the dream, she stood in a vast, glowing room filled with light, warmer and more comforting than anything she had ever felt. A figure approached her, radiating peace and love. She couldn't see the face clearly, but she knew immediately that this was God, or perhaps an angel sent by him. The figure spoke, and though Sarah couldn't hear words in the conventional sense, she understood every meaning. She felt a warmth spreading through her chest, a sense of healing that went beyond the physical, touching her mind and soul. She felt her fear lift. Every ache, every bit of exhaustion, seemed to dissolve in the presence of that overwhelming love. When she awoke, she felt different. Not just a little better, but profoundly renewed. Her energy returned slowly, then steadily, and by the next morning, she could move without pain. Days later, the doctors were baffled. Tests showed remarkable improvement that defied explanation. What had seemed like a hopeless, chronic condition was no longer present. Sarah knew in her heart that this was not coincidence. This was God answering prayer in a way that went beyond what she had expected. She was healed, not just in body but in spirit, reminded of the depth of God's love and the power of persistent faith. The weeks that followed were filled with gratitude. Sarah began sharing her story with others, speaking at church gatherings, and writing letters to friends and family. She wanted everyone to understand the miracle that had touched her life. But more than that, she wanted people to see the lesson she had learned, that God works even when his timing feels delayed, and that faith, though tested, is never in vain. Her experience became a testimony not just of healing, but of hope. People who heard her story were inspired to pray, to trust, and to hold on, even when the situation seemed impossible. Sarah often reflected on the time before her miracle, realizing that it was her persistent, unshaken prayer that had opened the door for God's intervention. She had learned that surrendering to God's timing is not passive. It is an act of courage, an exercise of faith that can move mountains in unseen ways. Every morning now, she continues to pray, not out of fear or desperation, but out of gratitude and connection. She prays for others, for her community, for those struggling with illness, doubt, or despair. Her story has become a beacon of hope, a living reminder that miracles happen, often when least expected, and that God's love is patient, precise, and unfailing. People often ask her, "What was the most shocking part of your healing?" And she smiles, knowing that it wasn't the sudden improvement in her body or the surprise of the doctors. The most shocking part was the depth of God's presence, the undeniable proof that He is always near, even when the world tells you otherwise. Her advice to anyone praying for healing or miracles is simple: keep praying, keep believing. Don't let the silence make you doubt Him. He is working, even when you can't see it. And when He finally moves, the result will be beyond anything you could have imagined. Sarah's life now serves as a living chronicle of faith, proof that miracles are real, that prayer is powerful, and that God's timing is always perfect. The experience reshaped not only her body, but her spirit. She learned that miracles are not just spectacular events, but divine confirmations of love and hope available to everyone who dares to trust. And so, every story she tells, every testimony she shares, carries this single truth: God is still working. He still listens. He still intervenes. And the impossible is always possible in His hands. Even now, years later, Sarah's heart is full of awe. She remembers the nights of desperation, the long prayers, the tears, and the quiet hope that refused to die. And she remembers that moment, the moment God answered in a way that shocked her, healed her, and forever changed her life. It is a story she tells over and over, not for recognition, but to remind others that no matter how impossible a situation may seem, faith has power, prayer has weight, and God's miracles are never random, but purposeful, profound, and life-changing. If you are listening to this story today, take a moment to reflect. Perhaps there is a situation in your life that seems impossible, a trial that feels unending, or a hope that seems delayed. Know this: miracles are real, prayer is powerful, and God is always working, often in ways you cannot yet see. Sarah's journey is a testament to the enduring truth that faith matters, perseverance matters, and God's timing is always perfect. She continues to live her life as a chronicle of God's miraculous works, inspiring everyone who hears her story to believe, to pray, and to expect the extraordinary. Her story is proof that even in the darkest, most uncertain times, God's light can break through, bringing healing, restoration, and hope that defies understanding. If you believe in the power of prayer and the reality of miracles, hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications. Don't miss a single story of hope, faith, and divine intervention here on Chronicle of Miracles. Thanks for watching.